Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? This is Brandon.
Stefan.
And Michael.
Welcome back to Comixkings. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the reason why you get up in the morning. That's why you brush your teeth for another episode of Archives coming at you today at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Make sure you guys take good note to the thumbnail and make sure you hit the thumbs up, because that was the thumbnail. And stay tuned for the rest of the video because we're going to be talking about Naomi for this episode by Brian Michael Bendis, yes. David F. Walker, and Jamal Campbell, who really had his coming out party. As always, we got Steph and Michael here. But before we get into everything, I just want to give a quick shout out to the other shows we have here because we don't just go over long trade paperbacks or hardcovers. We also do a weekly comic book review show every Monday where we talk about the books we read over the past week. We review them with Bryce Hillbilly Comics. And then we also have Crisis on Infinite Ranch, which is every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, which is with myself and Steph. And that is always the best time. We really get a lot of great content out, a lot of great conversations that is kind of like your typical comic store conversation. You go into the comic store, you meet someone new, you get lost in conversation. That's really what it is. And if you guys like that kind of a conversation, go check it out every single Wednesday. Then Creators Corner is where we go live with a creator in the industry. We got Cy Spurrier coming on, or he would have already been on by the time this video drops. So in the future, you have to look forward to Roy Thomas and Matt Hawkins, and then followed by Mark Silvestri and Mark Wade, which
what a lineup.
Right.
Which thank you guys. Which if you're interested in that, stay tuned for more updates. You can follow us all on Instagram or TikTok to get the latest new drip, as what the cool kids say, in our latest content. Yeah, see, Michael was the drippiest of all. That's why Steph was just pointing down at him.
True.
How we doing tonight, guys?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. This book is beautiful. I like this book.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. How about you, Steph?
Oh, I'm doing great. Like Michael said, this is a beautiful book. Jamal Campbell is one of my favorite new artists. I've been following him. He was one of the few artists I discovered him on Instagram, so I got to see him progress and work his way to comics. So,
oh, that's dope. That's awesome that you kind of had that
really cool.
early career presence. I don't say that I had that luxury. Totally. I don't know. It was weird. So my experience with this book when it first came out on the shelf was I bought the first issue, but I didn't really think much of it. One of my friends at the time, he was really high on it because it was another minority character who was teased to be Bendis' next big project. So as we know from Bendis' past projects, they're usually big hits. And David F. Walker was starting Bitterroot at the time, which was another big hit. Yeah. So if you guys have not checked out Bitterroot, you better check out Bitterroot. It is one of the best comic books over the past 5 years. It's like a top 10 comic book over the past 5 years. We're not even lying. Check it out. It's great. And it's also going to get a movie. Really, so more power to that. It was one of the first comics we auctioned from the era we are in where everything gets optioned. It was one of the first. So check it out. I think it's one of the first. Feel like that's right. But anyway, we know Bendis. We know his past projects being Miles Morales, Jessica Jones, a lot of great characters that have come into fruition in the Marvel universe. This is first really, I would say, notable work in DC other than Superman.
Yes.
Because he did Batman Universe.
This is his legacy that he's left at DC so far, at least in my opinion.
This is his positive legacy, other than Batman Universe.
Yeah, his positive legacy.
Let's keep in mind that let's not forget about Nick Darrington's art in Batman Universe, because Nick Darrington was MVP of that. But this book we need a new Superman. We need someone like Superman. Here she is. We were kind of talking about this earlier, but a lot of this story, it's about self-discovery. So it's about this young girl named Naomi McDuffie, she's named after the late Dwayne McDuffie, R.I.P. to Dwayne McDuffie, one of the great minds that the modern comic books have ever had, doing great work with Milestone.
Yeah, and then just also pretty much anyone growing up on any superhero cartoons through the late 90s and early 2000s with, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and all his contributions to those shows and things like that too. So it's really cool that Bendis named Naomi after him.
100%. And it's about Naomi McDuffie, who is an adopted person, and she's trying to figure out who are her parents and who is she based off the legacy of her parents that everyone knows about but herself. So it's kind of like being in that socially awkward situation where everyone else knows a secret about you that you don't even know about yourself, That's kind of like the best way to put it. So
totally.
let's dive into the book. It's a pretty quick read for anybody who wants to check it out. Season 2 is coming out shortly, so make sure you guys are on board. It's also a CW show, which I have not checked out yet, but probably will.
I've been meaning to check it out. I'll probably check it out this weekend. I think they're on the second episode, maybe third.
I don't think they're past the second one.
Okay.
Right. But I will say this comic book almost feels like it was intended for the CW, you know?
Yeah.
Mostly because it did get announced a few months
immediately.
Immediately. Oh, this is gonna be our next one. And so did Yara Flor for that matter. So it's like DC knows what they're doing with their new characters. You know, as much as I love them, it doesn't feel like they're natural. It's more like they're written for the next TV event.
Sure.
Which I don't know how I feel. I don't know exactly how that sits with me, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like it should be a unique story first before it's a TV idea. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I mean, sure. You can go the other way sometimes. You can go start at TV, but it seemed very much like the focus was on as long as what you're doing, you stay focused on it. Like if you start with the TV and you want to backtrack into some comic books, cool. Just make sure that if you're being respectful to the medium and not just you can easily tell when it's being used to just push advertise and being just a throw out to the other medium that you were coming from. So as long as you're being respectful in either one of the manners, then I think you can do it either way. But this didn't feel like that.
Right. Steph, how did you feel, bro?
No, yeah. This I see it a lot nowadays. Writers will, it's because I kind of feel like a lot of pitches these days will be used like that. It's easier to pitch it to a comic book, have that become a hit, and then that get option as opposed to taking it straight to a studio and trying to get them to greenlight it. Once they see there's a readership or a certain audience behind it, they're like, okay, we'll get it going. I felt like that a little bit with this, just a little bit. I don't know. We'll get into it.
Let's get speaking. I will take your word for that. Let's get into it, shall we? So we start out by turning to page 1, obviously. So we start. What? No, I'm gonna turn to page 5. So we find out something happened, something big, bold happened, and everyone is kind of confused, flipping out. You get that one skater boy that's like, yeah, let's do it again, and then you get that one girl in the bottom right corner, which happens to be our main protagonist. That is Naomi McDuffie, who we talked about earlier. For those who need that reminder, she's named after Dwayne McDuffie. Her name is Naomi McDuffie, and Superman is fighting Mongol. So that's we open up to this big double-page splash. Beautiful art by Jamal Campbell. I will say his art is 100% digital. A lot of it is digital. So if you guys are thrown off by that digital rendering, I would say give this a shot because I was thrown off by it too. But this was one of the few digital comics that that artist drew that really impressed me. It's you can tell that this wasn't exactly hand sketched at first. It was more drawn on an iPad, which is fun. I'm not knocking, it's a different age of society, different ways of storytelling. And I think it's really fitting to this world. Keep in mind, everybody, we are not on Earth Prime. We are not anywhere in our normal realm, which is why everyone is so shocked to see Superman, because they haven't really seen Superman, or they haven't really seen much of anything. This is almost like living in the middle of Nebraska. Nothing happens. Sorry to those Nebraskans watching, but your life is probably boring other than college football and beer. And
I like how they could do kind of exemplify that, the people are all geeked about Superman's appearance fighting Mongol, and then it says it only lasted 17 seconds, but that has everyone just geeks yo, Superman was just here fighting. That's funny.
Right, everyone's just turning up, freaking Marilyn Monroe just walked across,
Yeah.
Or who was it? Or what's her name? Paul McCarthy. Well, what's her name? Who does a New Year's kiss every year? The blonde one, Jennifer McCarthy. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Totally.
Maybe we'll go with it.
Maybe she.
I'm not up to date in my popular culture. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. I have no idea.
Or Mariah Carey actually doing a new song for Christmas. That's kind of people's reactions. Oh, Mariah Carey just did a new Christmas song. No, she didn't. But, huh?
They're ecstatic.
They're super happy, guys. So keep staying for the rest of the video. Hit the thumbs up, guys. It's really appreciated. And subscribe to the channel.
There you go.
But Naomi missed it. And it's weird because everyone's kind of wearing like dark colored clothing, but she's kind of like drawn in gold, which is like they really want her to stand out. Like it's like kind of like separating, like almost like she's like the golden goose. So not because she's gold, but like she's like almost like there's everyone, and then there's this person in gold. Like it's significant. This person is meant to be more than everyone else. So it's like that kind of writing art is that storytelling device is pretty important in this book because she's bigger than what everyone seems or what everyone is, right? So she's looking through YouTube, she's looking through Google. I don't know how they have a Daily Planet, by the way, because they are not on the regular Earth. So that was a little bit weird to me, seeing that there is a Daily Planet. And she's sitting in class as any teenager would, and she's just like looking at videos that people post on social media, right? And apparently he came back, right? Because people were complaining that he didn't clean up anything. So everyone leaves, and Naomi leaves as well. And she's like, "Oh, what did he say? What did he say?" Because like I guess she like feels something for Superman, like she feels a connection to him, or she feels like a reason to want to talk to him. So she goes to talk to her therapist, I guess, that she's been seeing for years. It almost feels like a therapist. Like there's a couch, there's someone in like an armchair. It's definitely a therapist. Sure. Been through this a lot to know that a therapy couch is a therapy couch. That is a therapy.
It's real, yeah.
Yeah. And they're kind of like talking about who she is, like normal therapy questions almost. Like, what do you want to be? What do you want to aspire to be? You know, and they're like, yeah. She's like, you see Superman, and that's what you want to be, right? You want to be that guy, right, who saves people. And she's like, but don't worry, like he was also adopted. Like you don't have to be Superman. Like I get like why you would look up to him, but you don't have to. You're gonna grow up and see that you're special, just like Superman. Guess what? We figure it out. So she goes and meets off with her friends, and they're like doing typical teenager things in the woods. You know, it looks like they build a little bit of a bonfire, and they're talking, and apparently this conversation happened years ago, specifically 17 years ago, and there's only one person that can recall that information because everyone's just kind of like, no, we're in the middle of Nebraska, nothing happens here, you know. So we see Naomi running around. She finds a guy who knows all this information. His name is D. He's just the guy he's a brute strength. If you guys know who Butch is from Gotham, that's exactly who this guy looks like.
Yeah. Good call. Good call.
See, that was the only time I made a good reference. I just want to make that for the record books. So she's talking to her friend Annabelle, who is not exactly the most thoughtful character I've read. She's kind of like she's just a supporting character, not really much to drive home other than the fact that she has pink hair. But she's kind of like, she's just like her Naomi's support system, really. But she's just there, I guess, just so Naomi can have someone to talk to. Like Annabelle really doesn't do anything that makes her a good character, I would say, other than being a shoulder to cry on, which we all need that sometimes. But Naomi's just kind of like, you know, something feels off, and she goes and she talks to D, and D like kind of just like kicks her out, right? And he tells her like, yeah, like the last time like people saw superheroes or anything like that was 17 years ago, the same day you were adopted, which her birthday is March 14th, which is pretty fitting why season 2 is coming in March.
Sure, that makes sense.
I was like, is that fitting? It's like, are we gonna do that again? So that ends the first issue. How are we feeling with this so far, guys?
It's just setting up who she is, right? Which is pretty standard. This is a number 1 with a character that has never existed before, so we're just getting to know who she is and the world around her. So it might seem a little slow, but it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Steph, what do you think?
No, Michael said it best. It's it's a standard enough. We don't know anything about the character, so it's maybe a little bit of a slow burn, but you gotta get to know the character before you care. In order to care, you know.
I feel like a lot of this book was a slow burn. Like we're getting to know her, but it's almost like a means to an end. It's like we go from point A to point B, and there are a lot of like last page reveals in this book. Like every issue has like that mic drop, last page like cliffhanger.
Keeps
But
it
really,
coming back.
Yeah.
but
Keeps it
really,
coming
that's all this
back.
book is. It's just cliffhanger after cliffhanger. And reading this in collected edition is way less exciting than reading it in single issues. Like I have to say, reading
Sure.
this in single issues, like what? Who is this new character? Where is she from? But reading this is like that wait period, that lingering period. This was written for single issues. This was not written for a hardcover.
Sure.
So that's why I enjoyed it a lot more in single issues than I did the second time around when I reread this. You know? So in the second issue, we pick off immediately where issue 1 just finished with the conversation, and she's questioning Dean. And Dee is just like saying, you know what, like he's trying to avoid everything. He's in a little bit of he almost has like a really sorrow look to his face, almost like he pities or regrets the whole situation, which we are going to find out later. Like everything in these first 2 issues is really thoughtful because they get addressed later. It's like you're not left with any questions after this read. Okay, so if you're that type of reader that goes in and gets out, right, everything's answered, your story starts and finishes. This book is literally has your name all over it, and you should definitely go buy it right now, right? But if you're kind of like that person that likes to invest a lot into the characters, really try to get to know them, you're not doing it with this book. I'm sorry. This book is too quick of a read to get to really know anything that's going on, other than it's a different Earth, and we're in the middle of Nebraska. But
I think it's
Sure.
It's a Prime Earth though,
I'm sorry.
because wasn't she in Justice League?
Yeah, she goes. So after this, she appears after this whole book. She appears in 3 issues of Action Comics when they're fighting Red Cloud, and then she appears. And then she appears in Young Justice, where no one got screen time because there were 20 freaking people in the cast. And you need 4 different artists to draw the dang thing, who all had 4 distinct different styles. Like I would have never thought Omeng and John Timms and two other people could really like not work well with each other. Like it was like so prominent. There's so many different styles here. But then she became the leader, the main center of attention of a Justice League book.
She did.
And
but that means she's on Prime Earth.
She is from a different. Her story does take place on a different universe. Different universe, yeah.
So this story takes place in a different universe. She ultimately.
It's very similar to the main DC world.
Right.
Okay.
But she.
Very conveniently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah, because that's why I said earlier. I'm really confused why there's a Daily Planet. If we're trying to set up, like, this is taking place, like, within, like, the Ron Thanagar War, or, like, shortly after. But
Steph, I was confused too. I looked it up just a second ago to make sure, like, that it was. 'Cause I don't remember it being on a different Earth, but at least Wikipedia says that she's off from and her story takes place on a different Earth. So
yeah, because that was like
Brandon is very much correct. Yes.
Yeah, that was like the whole purpose of her character was that's why she hasn't been anywhere is because she's on a different universe.
She's on a whole
at
different
the end of the
universe.
book, our mission is to cross her over into Earth.
That was hard to pick up in the story in case anyone starts reading it. Their Earth is a different Earth. It's a different universe.
So they haven't shown how she got to Prime Earth.
No, they did. Superman like gets her, I believe, in like Action Comics or like because at the end of this book, spoilers, we do spoilers here, guys. You know, she defeats the antagonist and she like kind of flies out. In Superman, we kind of see what's going on.
Sure.
In Action Comics, I think it was like 10-13, 10-12, 10-13, 10-14 or something, or like 10-15, 10-16. Something like that. It was before Superman like came out to the world that he was Clark Kent, or before Clark Kent came out to the world that he's Superman, tomato, potato, something like that. But that was when we really figured that out. And then Young Justice, she came over after Superman was like her main catalyst because Bendis was writing that book. He's like, let me just draw something of importance that I created into this book just so I can really leave my mark on this book. It's not like I ruined the whole Superman world. I'm just going to leave my mark on it now, even more by putting my own character in here, But
I mean, yeah, it was weird during that time when he was all over Superman, Naomi, everything. Then he brought Connor Kent back in Young Justice, right? When there was already John Kent, so there's 2 Superboys, and so he was threw off the whole Superman universe at the same time as Naomi. And then Naomi shows up in like every single thing he was writing, which is fine. I actually like the character. I don't know. I
It
feel like
was a
she can
weird
be
push.
written better
It was
with
like
someone else.
it's almost like this character is not aged up enough or doesn't have the experience to really hang with a Superman or Batman. Like, why is Superman going to Naomi McDuffie before anyone else in the world?
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of thing.
her story could be important. Like they can interact, but to consistently interact the way they do is my
Right.
problem. Like there could be a story where he needs to help her for some reason. Of course, Superman would do that, or any of the Justice League. But the continuing feat, like just because she has like extreme power set, which she is, she's extremely powerful actually. But like to
Right.
me, it doesn't seem like her background hasn't been explored. We don't know really what she's capable of, and maybe
And we
maybe
haven't
that's the
seen
story
that.
actually. Maybe
And I
that
think
is.
Naomi season 2 would have been a better catalyst to drive those emotions for like Superman and eventually meeting up with Young Justice. Like if we got Naomi season 2 right before any of those other crossovers happened, I would have found it to be more fitting. You know, we would have had the time as readers to get to know the character, to get to know, understand her background, her power set, and why she has any business mingling with higher powered characters. You know, why of all people was Superman going to Naomi McDuffie in a different universe? Bring her over into this one. Kind of like that was like, did that warrant it? Like, did 5 issues or 6 issues warrant that?
Right.
You know, like, but let's keep going with this story. We're on issue 2. We're talking with Dee, and Dee kicks her out and then like kind of drives off in his motorcycle. And now we get to meet Naomi's adopted parents who have their own history, and they're just trying to comfort her right now. Saying that they have no idea who Dee is and that she's very loved. She's very like they don't know who her parents are. Like she's very well loved in this house, and she is a great support system. Anything that like you're like a loving family would say to their kids, right? They're not gonna say, "Nah, you're adopted. We caught you on the side of the curb." No, like they're gonna like they're welcoming her, they're comforting her because this is really who she knows to be mom and dad, or her mom and dad kind of figureheads. Those are their roles in this family. You know, especially being an only child, right? Who do you interact with a lot more? Your parents, you know.
It's true.
But really that's it. You know, we see some tales of Superman, like kind of like some images, and then Naomi is talking with her friend Annabelle, and she's really stressed kind of about what's going on, and then she goes back and she sees Dee, right? Because, you know, she was told not to see Dee. So what does like a pesky teenager do? You don't go do the thing you were told not to do, right? We've all been there.
Classic teen angst.
Oh yeah, and a lot of this book is a silent issue, which is like makes it to be a little bit quicker read. And again, I think like Jamal Campbell draws really well because I don't know if this really warrants a silent issue. Almost like 3/4 of it is silent. So, Dee, she finds like a picture of someone who looks similar to her, and she asks Dee who it is, and then Dee's like just saying, you know, I'm not ready. And she's like, well, you're going to tell me right now because I'm a 13-year-old saucy teenager. And you going to tell me exactly. Well, she's 17, really. But, you know, she's a 17-year-old saucy teenager. And Dee's just like, you know what? Whatever. He's like, I'm not ready. So then we get the secret history of the DC universe, which if you guys have ever read a Brian Michael Bendis comic book, every single issue or every single run has the secret history of something. Go back and tell me I'm wrong. That's his style of format of like these books. I'm going to do the secret history of, for the Ultimate Universe, it worked. For the New Avengers, it worked because that was a newer concept at the time. But for this, it doesn't because the character in and of herself is already secret. Like there's no secret history of the DC Universe. It doesn't even take place in the normal DC Universe. Come on now, let's be honest.
I guess her history is secret and her place in the DC world and the DC Universe is secret. Maybe that's what he was getting at. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's terrible marketing.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that.
Yeah. So issue 3, we're really just, this is where we're starting to get going with this story. Now we're 2 issues in and not a lot's happened. We still don't know who she is, and we just know she comes from a family. She's adopted. Something's wrong with her, and one person who has brute strength and looks like Butch does not want to help her for whatever reason. So kind of like what I said earlier is we get from point A to point B and nothing else really happens. If you take the mic drops from every single issue, you would kind of understand where we still are in the story. You know, because like all of this is happening within like 24 hours, 48 hours. Like literally, it feels like this whole story happened within like 2-3 days of each other.
Sure.
You know, It's not like Miles took weeks and months to really develop, over time and learning about his family and stuff. No, we're just going to take 3 issues of it. Okay. And I'm not trashing this book. It's just when you read someone like Brian Michael Bendis, who's consistently put out like top tier work, and then you get to something that's not top tier work, that's like decent.
I mean, in my opinion, Bendis hasn't put out top tier work in, I don't know, over a decade. Like his last big success was Miles, in my opinion, and he didn't really do anything with him. He introduced Miles, but I don't think Bendis was the one that really like got Miles to where he is today. But he introduced the character, which is great. But like his big to fame, in my opinion, is like his Daredevil stuff, his Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, right? His Avengers, his new Avengers work, like that stuff, and all that was in the 2000s, right? And so he hasn't done anything too crazy in a while. And I like this character, like I keep saying, and I say that because I want them to do something with this character. A lot of my friends and mutuals that have a little bit of issues with this because there's a lot of people that want more representation in comics, especially in DC was trying, but they don't feel, she doesn't feel like she reads and is being obviously written not by a woman or a person of color at all, and it shows in the way she's written. And so that's like a big criticism I have with a lot of my friends and mutuals have with this character, is that they want a lot more from her. They want her to be written by a woman, especially a woman of color, to get that kind of like perspective. And it's just kind of lost a little bit. And I think that's kind of like the thing for me, at least the character wanting a lot with this book.
Yeah.
I agree. That was a really good point that you bring up, because I actually happen to agree. I love Naomi. Like, I actually really do like her character. I think her character is really unique, and she could bring a lot to DC. Just like I think Yara Flor can bring a lot to DC, right? Assuming Joelle Jones hits her deadlines, which has
the book got canceled, so
because Joelle Jones didn't hit her deadlines.
I don't think that was the reason.
Well, it wasn't. They were building up to the Wonder Woman event, and they needed that book to hit its benchmarks, and it was constantly getting delayed because if you think of it, like even Joelle Jones who's supposed to write and draw all 7 issues, had to bring on another artist.
It wasn't the controversy behind the character?
I don't think it was a controversy behind the character.
Oh. A lot of like the Brazilian community and people from Brazil were very offended by how she was being written and drawn. Yeah. Apparently Joelle Jones, who I love, I like her a lot. I like her storytelling, and her art is amazing, but apparently she didn't do a lot of research on the character or the background. And so there was that. Because a lot of her work that I think because they canceled issue 7, and a lot of that work's going into the new miniseries for Trial of Amazons. So yeah, I don't know.
I could see that. Definitely connecting into it.
I could understand it. That's news to me, I guess, right now. Which is a little shocking because like Joelle Jones is usually someone who like takes her time.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I think she's great. I love her writing, and I especially love her art. Her art's phenomenal.
I feel like
I don't think she was doing it on purpose. I just don't think that she didn't do enough research. Maybe, I don't know, which happens. So.
Right, or I don't know. Maybe like they wanted the cultural background, but Yara Fleur was always more of a modern kind of living in the moment character. So I don't know if she really had much of a cultural background, more so than she's going to have. Like they're trying to establish her culture with the Amazons rather than like her.
I can't speak for that.
Her Brazilian culture. I don't know. There could be a million things, but the purpose of this video is talking about Naomi McDowell.
Yeah. Anyways, Naomi.
Naomi and D, because we're still on the whole D subject. That sounded really weird, but you guys know what I meant.
Yeah, well, here we go.
Here we go. This show's already off the rails. Wow. By the way, guys, if you like this review, hit the thumbs up. Because,
yeah, seriously though.
Especially if you like D in this story, because he's a cool character.
Yeah,
he's badass.
Yeah, that's what I think I was trying to get at. Her character in this universe has a lot of potential. There are a lot of characters in here. Her power set is cool. Her mystery behind the character is a lot to her. And as we continue reading, it just builds and builds and builds.
Right, and she's young.
What the problem is, you might have stated earlier, Brandon, with it was the connectivity or the flow. Like Bendis was trying to continue her arc by with I guess having her appearing on Justice Superman, but season 2 of this, whatever the second series, should have come out much sooner than it just coming out now, next month or something like that,
Right.
Is it going to pick up directly from this, or is it going to encompass everything she's done, including action
or more to the show? Maybe it's going to take more after the show,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So there's like a disconnectivity. I could see why it would kind of.
Right, I kind of felt like her journey of self-discovery was really rushed. Like, it's like as soon as she got powers, like as soon as she finds, okay, guys, spoiler, she gets her powers in like the second to last issue. Like one issue after, she all of a sudden gets her powers. She's like, oh, I know who I am, guys. I found it. I was like, hid it in the closet. That's not how, like. But then you look at like a comic book or even like a show. I'm gonna reference the show, but like Umbrella Academy, where they're people first before their powers, right? Which is really thought because they all go through their personal discoveries. Like Vanya goes through like a whole self-discovery arc, but her powers really were not an extension of who she is as a person. I feel like Naomi got powers.
Show though than the comics a little. I love the comic. It's a little more out there than the character development was more of the show's thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole power, like
completely agree.
Like the transition of like self-discovery and power. Like as soon as she got her powers, she's all of a sudden like this big bombastic person who knows every answer, it's like now I know who I'm meant to be.
No, yeah.
If people knew who they were meant to be, as soon as Hagrid said to Harry, "You're a wizard, Harry," he would have killed Voldemort right then and there. Like, come on now, like it's about the journey. Like that. I hope my point is getting across.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Are you my father?" He's like, "Girl, I'm white. Do I look like your father?" That's kind of like what he said it in a nutshell. But so Dee ends up telling the story of how he was like part of the Thanagarian Empire and he was on a mission, right? And he ended up pulling out of the mission in which he got trapped, right? He kind of failed and he's been trapped on this earth and people just like kind of forgot about him. And then Naomi's mother comes in and just slaps the guy across the face. And it's like, we see that she's gifted. She has a power set because that was a pretty nice slap on a guy that's like 3 times her size. Like this guy's probably like 6'8", probably like weighs more than any defensive lineman in football. Like if anyone knows who Vince Wilfork is, or like he's like that big, right? He's pretty big. But
a comic book reference, not a sports reference.
Okay, he looks like Ben. He looks like
pop culture, sports.
Yeah. Okay, he makes a Ben. He looks like kind of like Ben Grimm if he didn't like turn into Rock, and he just got big.
Got it. See, like there we go.
Yeah. Got it.
Nailed it.
That's what I'm talking to. Yeah. If anyone is a sports fan, please let me know if you got my reference. But it looks like if Ben Grimm like didn't get turned to Rock, but also had like a sick tat sleeve,
Yeah, no.
Yeah. He was edgy without the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to put it, Mike. So you get it. Yeah.
It clicked. It got there. Yeah.
But so anyway, Mrs. McDuffie slaps him. We're gonna call her Mrs. McDuffie, even though I know that's like not her real name, but no, she's gonna be Naomi's mom. So she slaps him in the face, and this guy like does like a full 180 with his head. Like that's how hard the slap was. So she gets in the car and like she takes a baseball bat. The dad's driving, and she like hits it with her head and like dents the baseball bat. By the way, you guys, baseball is a sports game where you use a bat. It's like a big metal thing, and you just.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I was lost for a second. I was about to Google it.
Yeah.
But thank you. You really helped out on that one.
Oh. I'm so glad I can. Michael's probably reading. I'm like, what is that? Is that the crowbar? No.
Weird. Yeah. What is the function of this thing? I'm blown my mind.
The metal object, the ball, and they just travel from base to base.
So you have first base, you have like second base, you have like third base. It's like you gotta run the bases.
What? There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's actually 4 of them. You gotta hit a home
That can't
run
be
sometimes.
possible.
So where's the home base where the operations are dealt out? You know, where the missions are given.
Oh man. Yeah, no, okay, so anyway, Naomi's having like a big
I want to
argument.
explore that line of thought. Now let's go.
No, we're not on a shield helicarrier.
Naomi, yeah,
There's
we're
no
too
actual-
distracted already. Too distracted.
There's no
No.
actual home base. This isn't like Shield. This is not a helicarrier. As much as I wish it was, you know. But so am I, honestly. But so anyway, like Naomi's arguing with her parents, right? She gets out of the car. Her and her dad are having a conversation. They're walking to this place, which is a cave. And we figure out if that's the spaceship that the dad came to this planet in, because he looks like a rip-off version of Adam Strange, just who likes to wear purple. And is probably 50 pounds heavier than Adam Strange, because he probably hasn't had a workout in ages. And I'm actually really surprised that belt still fits him. You know, it's like he kind of looks like he's not cut out for like the superhero like fitness squad anymore.
Or,
Yeah.
The Red Guardian in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah, he's like Red Guardian in the Black Widow movie. I guarantee you, this guy's just like dreading that suit. You know, like get this shit off me like ASAP.
Is he he's from the Adam Strange. They're not the.
I think they
Thangarians
from Rand.
Yeah, he's
Rand.
from Rand.
Yeah.
He's from Rand. Yeah, because this is allegedly like takes
Randians?
place like right after or like right during the Rand-Thanagar war in this universe. Because I guess that like happens, which I don't know if it's like a Rand-Thanagar war that happened in this specific universe, right? Or it's like the Rand-Thanagar from the Earth Prime that ended up crossing over here. We'll never know. Because I don't think Bendis knew. He's like, it's a cool moment no one talks about. Let me just use that as a catalyst.
I do like that. Like, by like, I mean, it's kind of sad, funny. Like, yeah, he was like, this is definitely a different world, except where everything's the same. You know, like, but they're different. You know, left-handers are the more prominent left-handed people. That's the big difference. You know, like, but everything else is the same. Don't worry.
Yeah, there's like
25%. You'll understand. It's different, but you'll understand.
25% less Starbucks in this town, guys. Yeah. It's a different universe.
It's a completely different universe.
But don't worry, they're still a Rand-Thanagar Empire. They're still the Daily Planet. Like, don't get that confused, guys, for a minute. Like, everything else that's necessary to my story still happens. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's essentially.
You know, which this is just lazy storytelling. And you have a co-writer. You have David F. Walker, who I think is writing a lot of the character family dynamics. And Bendis is like painting the overarching story, like this is gonna happen, and everything else that I think like you appreciate in the dialogue. I think that's David Walker.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling that Bendis was just like had a big spark of an idea and wanted to bring this kind of character into this world, and he just was like, "Go for it," you know, like what can we do with her?
Oh, the Rand-Thanagar War. Yeah, see, that's something that no one talks about. The only war we still talk about is when Darkseid came. Oh wait, which it's like kind of like So we're on chapter 4, or issue 4 now. And Naomi's like kind of shell shocked. And the first word the dad says, "Naomi, are you okay?" Like, no, I just found out my dad's an alien. I'm not okay. Like, y'all motherfuckers been lying to her for 17 years now. Like, come on. She's not okay.
She's I
don't know. Maybe she's extremely well adjusted.
Yeah.
You know, she's just like, you know what? I get it. I had a feeling. I understand.
That tingling feeling I had, that wasn't just because I saw Superman and was slightly no. That was because I knew my adopted parents were aliens, and I had a spider sense of tingling, you know? The whole time.
The spider tingling.
Yeah, it was like the whole spider
tingles.
Yeah. It's got the tingles, you know? So she's like, what the hell, Dad? And like she like, I don't know. So it's like, you're from space, and the dad is like telling how he came to the Earth. So his job is to hunt down like Thanagarians that like are bad, right? Thanagarians, that's how you say it, right? So he came to this Earth and saw this guy and D, and he just kind of like gave up because D wasn't really a threat per se. So we get that flashback and we learn about the dad. The mom's like that's where like he met the mom, and then Naomi happened, which The people of Naomi's world, I guess, came over to this part, but they were all killed. Like Dee was fighting, the dad was fighting, and this child gets left behind, and that child ends up being Naomi, brought back by the dad, which Bendis really wanted to give you a Smallville kind of vibe. But the biggest difference between these moments, first off, okay, our alien race is going extinct and they leave a baby behind to come to fruition and then to grow up and mature. But the biggest difference here is all Clark Kent really wanted to do was be Clark Kent. He didn't really want to be Superman at the time. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, right? Like this guy went to the Navy because he was good, because that was the only way he can use his gift. And he felt that he was in debt to the universe, that he had a gift, right? That is the origin of Clark Kent, right? That's his whole purpose. That's his mission statement. Sure. Naomi's is, I want to be this person. I want to be that superpowered person. Not necessarily because she grew up human her whole life and she just wants to almost kind of like almost like a cocky Luke Skywalker origin.
Sure.
If you guys know Luke Skywalker's origin, he grew up on a desert planet, not really surrounded by a whole lot. And all he wanted to do was fly a spaceship and get out of there. Right? But Naomi she just wants to find out what powers she has. She just wants to find out. Something that's bigger than her. And she doesn't know if she wants to use it for good or bad yet. She just wants it more than anything. And we don't know why. Maybe because it's like a part of herself. So that's kind of my biggest complication. If you're going to draw that Superman parallel, keep it like kind of similar. Keep the mission statement the same. Especially if you're going to have them work together,
Sure. I mean, I think especially with Bendis writing this, I think this is kind of like a little nod to his kids. I'm pretty sure he has quite a few adopted kids as well. And so I think this was kind of like his experience with them and him trying to be like, it's cool. You guys will be okay. You guys will be heroes too. We're all big family kind of thing, You're
still special just because.
Yeah. I think that might be a little bit, because everyone has a different experience. And yeah, I can definitely see the need to try to tie it back to Superman because that's her favorite hero of all time, right? So totally.
But I also feel like making her side characters also, like, we see that they have powers just like she does, like all within like close timing to each other. It kind of like defeats the purpose of making her that special person, just because like everyone else we know now has powers. So it's like, now it's just everyone else getting powers, It's like, I kind of felt like that defeated the purpose of her self-discovery with her powers.
In this particular run?
In this series.
I mean, but it's...
I don't know. Maybe it's more of the flying that, everyone can be special. It's how you use your abilities that kind of like sets you apart. And I think that's kind of maybe what Bendis was trying to do. At least that's how I took it. Like, yeah, I see your point, Brandon, completely. Like, if everyone's special, then how can anyone be special? But like, just because everyone has powers doesn't mean you're going to use them in the right way or use them in the best way possible.
Right.
Like, because I mean, look at all the mutants out there and people are just flying around and doing stuff and not really helping people. But the X-Men are the heroes because of what they stand up for, not necessarily because of the powers they have, but how they use them.
Right. I mean, and you Kamala Khan's. I mean, I think maybe you just don't like the super fan aspect of super fan. But Kamala Khan, she's like along the same vein. She was a super fan before she unlocked her was hit by the Terrigen Mist.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the whole mission statement of Naomi was a little bit distracted due to like kind of.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Like, I know what he's going for. I absolutely and I appreciate what Bendis is going for in this story. Like, let's not get that confused. But I feel like it just took a weird left turn that was a little unsettling for such a quick read. I feel like we didn't spend enough time with Naomi before she got powers or before like we really knew her true purpose.
No, yeah, it's like what we mentioned at the beginning. He knew where he wanted to go. He just didn't know how to get there, and he just got a little impatient, I think. You know, and he's just you know what? I know where she would need to be. Let's just do it.
Right. It's like with Jessica Jones, like at least we got to know her situation, her circumstance before she really like interacted. Like everything, like her relationship with Luke Cage was very thoughtful. Right, her kind of being on her own in the beginning was really thoughtful. Why is she on her own? Well, we got that time, that attention with her. Like those scenes, like with her therapist. I feel like we really could have got more of because we could have really gotten to know this character, how she thinks, what she likes.
Why is she there?
Why is she in therapy in the first place?
Why is she in therapy? Like what's going on exactly? Yeah, he rushed it. Yeah, it feels rushed. Like the character isn't the problem. The character, the people around her, like it's the story and what's happening, like what's really happening, the driving the force. That's the issue.
Right. It's more like it's not like I'm disappointed in the fact that this didn't get more thoughtness, right? We didn't see it expand, and I want more of it because I know what Bendis is capable of. I know what David F. Walker is capable of. We know that Jamal Campbell could draw those scenes, so that's not the issue. It's like Michael said, we wanted to get to point B. We needed to get from point A to point B, and we took the straight path. We didn't want to go through anything that makes the journey special.
Yeah.
I also think if they come out with season 2 much sooner, because it's like this is like a decent enough setup, but it's like came out years ago now. She's been stagnant a little. She's been in other titles, but has there really been any development with her?
Definitely not in any other titles. Like they plop her in and expecting you to know who she is.
Exactly.
That's my big frustration with her in other things. Like it's not her confused about what's going on. She kind of is, but at the essence of it, she's very confident where she is. Like she's on the Justice League.
She's the main attention.
Like she's on the Justice League.
She gets more screen time than Batman.
I wish she would be more. I don't know.
Laid back,
more relatable. Like more relatable.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like if the second volume of this would have made it, because this was the setup. The second volume they could have the content kind of let her character play out and
like it could have been like an ASM 299, ASM 300 thing. Like we just saw Venom, now we're gonna get the Venom story.
Exactly.
And
again, I want to preface that it's not the character that's the problem. It's whatever the writer's doing with her. I think the character has a lot of potential, and I like her a lot. But they always throw her in situations that I don't think they know what they're doing. They just want to promote her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
She's a great character with great representation. It hits all the benchmarks except for the story. And I think
I'm not to say I love that they want to promote her, but you could promote just like Miles is a great example of promoting a new character, Kamala that have story.
Kamala, Sam,
the story. Yeah, Sam Alexander. Yep.
Even White Tiger, got like a cool little story.
Ewing's the man.
And she was in a cartoon too. That was great. Spider-Man Unlimited or Ultimate Spider-Man. That was a good show. I don't care what anyone says.
It had its moments.
Hey, Sam Alexander was a homie.
I liked it too. I liked
it. Come on, Michael. Yes. But
I like all those shows. I'm a sucker for those animated shows.
Yeah, right. I mean, at my workplace, we just got through all the X-Men animated. Like we just put it on for the customers.
Nice.
Great. And then we're doing Fantastic Four now from the 90s.
The 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I still think the FF still the better theme song of that group. Like it's still better than the X-Men animated series. I don't care what anyone says.
You lost me there, sir. You lost me there.
Here comes the 4. Come on now. That's dope.
What? No.
Yeah, that's iconic. Yeah, come on.
Okay, no. See, that's great too, but Fantastic Four I think was great too. Come on.
Sure. The show's good. I like the show.
Anyway, let's talk about something a little bit more disappointing. Naomi issue 5.
Let's do it. Let's finish it up.
Let's finish it. No more distractions. So she's like, her first thing is go to anime. She's like, oh my god, guess what? I'm an alien. I don't know where I'm from. She's like, the guy at the garage, he's an alien too. But anyway, like we figure out like she got this box that like turns her into her superpower, which is where she gets her Powerhouse name. She can fly and literally do anything Superman can do. Basically her power. We don't really get to see her powers. That's the whole thing. We just see her turn into like this costume of her alien planet. And she's like, see, look, I'm gonna show my friend too, because that's what I'm gonna do. She's gonna be my guy in the chair, Ned leads. But so she puts on the costume and it's great. The art's perfect. We really get to see the design. It's a thoughtful design. It's dope. It's gold. It's meant to stand out, right? For a reason. Like gold is not a mistake. It's a choice. That's 100% intention for her to stand out the way that she is, right? And so that basically she takes her friend, or she's with her family at the alien ship, and she gets like a little voice recording in her head from her mother, her biological mother, who's basically like telling her what has happened and her history. So we learn about this guy named Zumbado. That is the dumbest name I've ever heard of. Let's just be honest. Zumbato! Who else did like Bendis create? I don't know. He like created like a few other characters. Sinmar,
Sure.
Sinmar. His weird name, and then one other person who was like in the Justice League book. It was whoever they fought in their Justice League book. Brutus.
Oh,
Brutus.
yeah.
Brutus. Who doesn't love their old Brutus? But so this guy basically, so the whole purpose of Naomi's people is on their Earth, their home Earth. The ozone layer collapsed before they realized, and they all got powers. Cool. And this guy who was on the chair, the electric chair for murdering people, God gave him enormous, big, bombastic, super strength powers to kill everyone. Ha! That's the purpose of the electric chair, you know. So, point being, guys, if you ever think about mixing an ozone layer and an electric chair, don't, because you're going to look a lot like this.
Don't do it.
You're going to look a lot like this guy. So, not a good idea. So, they fight, and they go back to so he discovers Naomi because she puts on the suit, right? I guess that, like, triggers everything. Naomi, and that's how we end issue 5. And we're going into issue 6, and that's just a big battle between these guys on this Earth, you know, he takes her to their home world that's all destroyed, and she's like, you destroyed my parents. He's like, you catch on quick, don't you? I was gonna kill you too. So they fight, and for this guy to be so powerful and for her to literally like catch up to him toe to toe, it either says a lot about who he's killed and their lack of fighting skills, or the fact that this is just terrible writing. And I'm gonna go with the terrible writing, because no one who gets their powers can hang out with like and go toe to toe with like freaking like Rocky Balboa from obviously from the Rocky movies. Like, come on now.
Sure.
Like, that to me bugged me a little bit, especially because like she just got her powers literally like 2 seconds ago. So we end the book with her like she defeats the guy and she goes back to her Earth and she sees her parents, she sees her friend. And she ends up she's just like, oh, discovered something about herself. And now everyone's like, show us what you can do. And she like, we see her flying off into like the distance. Which I guess that's how we end the book. And we next see her in the pages of Action Comics. But the story continues in the pages of DC Comics and in Naomi too, which of course is now happening in a month.
Yep.
This is Naomi, guys. How'd you guys feel after rereading it?
I thought it was a solid enough entry point. I think I think your problem is just the connectivity to progressing her character. Like she kept showing up in other titles, but you know this is I think I keep saying if they come up with like issue 7 soon after issue 6. I think it'd be a different story right now because she'd have more established character. But I think it was a fine enough introductory for a new character. They're trying to, you know, give her some mystery, you know, that's understandable for a new character. You want people to be appealed, and mystery's always appealing. Art was beautiful. Jamal Campbell, I really enjoy Jamal Campbell's work. I think it was the highlight of the series. Now, like we've been saying, Naomi's not a bad character. It's not a character thing. She's very capable, got a lot of potential. It's just maybe the plotting of this story and how they proceeded after the ending of this story. That's kind of not soured rereading it, but made me look at things differently. But I think it's fine enough for someone who's not just, you know, looking for a new character. It's not too tied to the DC universe. So if someone wants a new character, they don't want something with too much lore or anything. I think this works fine enough. You know, it's a beautiful book. It's a character's fun. She's got a lot of potential. It was fine. I didn't dislike the reread as much as you, Brandon, but it was fine.
No, I liked it. It's just I'm not gonna sit here and say this is a great origin story, considering that I've seen someone write an origin story before, like at a decent level, you know, especially for like a veteran like Brian Michael Bendis. Now, if David F. Walker just took the book and made it his own, I honestly feel like it could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that Marvel's trying with bringing in more female characters, especially more
You mean
female
DC?
characters of color. So that's great because I mean, Bendis also made invented Riri Williams as well, right? And so that though, like I think I mentioned halfway through the show, like I don't know, it can almost seem pandering. Like you need to be able to, if you're going to have representation of new female characters and people of color, they should be written by them as well to get that kind of perspective. And that's what a lot of people are saying that is the issue. Is it doesn't feel like she's part of these cultures, or
Right.
and so
Right.
I don't think this book was necessarily pandering. Like when I think of pandering, I just think like somebody is hopping on the bandwagon because it's popular or because it's like people being pissed off at Tom Taylor just for the sake of everyone else is pissed off at Tom Taylor,
I don't know.
For
I
example.
still stand by what I said. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And you have every right to be
Yeah.
entitled. When I think of like, well, I agree. Like it could have been under a different direction. I'm kind of like indifferent because like I see both sides. Like I can see how it would be pandering, but it almost doesn't. It just feels like
it's good she's here.
It's good she's
just
here.
They can
but
do
I
a
feel
lot
like
more with it.
If we got some of those moments of why is she in therapy, why is she doing this, I feel
More
like it
character
wouldn't have felt
development,
that way. We got a little bit more character development. We got more time to get to know Naomi.
Sure.
I feel like it wouldn't have been considered pandering. Because I'm under the theory like writers can write anything with the like history with the proper research, right?
I mean, but it is. You do want that's true. But I mean,
no, totally. There's male characters that can write female characters. There's white characters that can write black characters, of course. But to always have a white artist or writer on these characters, that's the issue.
Yeah,
that's the issue, and that's just always how it's been. And I think that's, like I said, he created Riri Williams and then went to DC and then created Naomi. And
a lot of Riri's personality came from Eve Ewing.
Sure.
But he was the writer for her. He was her voice. Yeah. Right. And so for a minute. And so that's the issue where it's coming from. Is there needs to be more writers and artists of color in these companies to give them more to be more of the voice. And I think that's like I said, a lot of more people that I've been talking to have an issue, and it's not like they're angry about it. They like Naomi being here. They like to see the representation, and they like they need to be able to feel it from the character. They see it now, they need to feel it.
Right.
I think that's the big difference.
No, I think that's really well said, Michael. I agree with that.
I can't agree more.
Yeah, I think that's a great capping point. I think we can leave it at that. Thank you everybody for checking it out. If you're still here, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, you subscribe to the channel because we have a lot of great content coming out for you guys. And as always, let us know your thoughts of this book. What do you want to see from Naomi, man? We're really excited for that, and we love hearing from you guys. If you disagree with us, we love hearing that even more because that creates those kind of comic book shop conversations that we love to build here. And that's really what this show is all about, is just discussing these comic books that we're reading. Next week, we're doing a book chosen by this guy. Seb's going to be choosing a book, and we spoke about this last week. So, I'm
excited.
I'm excited. I don't know what he's going to say to us. I know he's going to hit us with a banger. If you guys check out his Instagram page, he's throwing up banger books 24/7. I mean,
that's not a joke though, Steph. I think I'm always liking I'm scrolling through your stuff whenever you have the coolest covers that you're posting. I'm I have that too. I have that. Oh, wait, I don't have that guy. Wait, what's this?
Oh, I run a shop. I got to get that.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I look at you're the only person I have post notifications on for.
Now you're tuning my horn.
But guys,
please do. I mean, it's one of the only ones where I'm cool scrolling through it. Oh, cool. Wait, what? What is this? I like that stuff, man. Never stop doing that, please.
That's great. Like the time where Chris Claremont and David Nakayama wrote a comic book together. They were Big Hero 6. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's true.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you guys only find that with this guy, and we love him for that. And Michael's doing a lot of great stuff on TikTok. He's always bringing up like great kind of like community topics. He's always doing new comic book day previews. So make sure you check that out on TikTok. We have a bunch of avenues for you guys to get your stuff. And on YouTube, this is the place to be, you know. You can also find Michael on other shows such as The Keeg Show, which is a show that I absolutely enjoy. And hopefully one day I'll be on there. But, they're great people. They're great people. Anyway, you guys, take care. Happy Friday and have a great weekend, everybody. Station.